You need to leave your apartment. Maybe you got a job offer in another city. Maybe your building is unsafe. Maybe your circumstances have changed completely and staying simply isn't an option. But you're staring at a lease with months left on it and wondering, what happens if I just leave? The answer depends entirely on how you leave. Break your lease the wrong way, and you could be chased for thousands of dollars in unpaid rent, hit with a collections account that destroys your credit, and struggle to rent anywhere else for years. Break it the right way, using the legal exits that actually exist, and you might walk away owing nothing at all. This is how to break your lease legally. Welcome back to Plain Verdict. Let's get into it. Breaking a lease feels like an impossible situation to most tenants, a legal and financial trap with no good options. But the reality is that the law provides several legitimate pathways to exit a lease early without facing the full financial consequences. Some of these exits require specific circumstances. Some require proper documentation, and some require your landlord to have done something wrong. Today we're covering all of them, so you know exactly which ones apply to your situation. Before we cover the legal exits, let's be honest about what happens if you simply abandon your lease without following proper procedures. Your landlord can sue you for all remaining rent owed under the lease, potentially thousands of dollars depending on how many months remain. They can send the debt to collections, which will appear on your credit report and damage your credit score significantly for up to 7 years. They can use your security deposit to cover unpaid rent and damages, then pursue you for any remaining balance. Future landlords will see the broken lease on your rental history, and many will refuse to rent to you. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to explain why using one of the legal exits we're about to cover is so much better than simply disappearing. The legal routes exist for a reason. Use them. Legal exit 1. Check your lease for an early termination clause. This is the first thing you should do before anything else. Many leases, particularly those from larger property management companies, include a specific early termination clause that allows you to exit the lease early by giving proper notice and paying a predetermined fee, typically 1 to 2 months rent. This is the cleanest and simplest way to break a lease because both parties already agreed to the terms when you signed. Read your lease carefully. Look for language about early termination, lease buyout, or lease break. If this clause exists, follow its requirements precisely, give the required written notice, pay the required fee, and get written confirmation from your landlord that the lease is terminated. Keep all documentation. Legal exit 2. Your landlord has violated the lease or failed to maintain habitable conditions. This is one of the most powerful and underused legal exits available to tenants. If your landlord has materially breached the lease agreement by failing to make necessary repairs, allowing the property to become uninhabitable, entering without proper notice repeatedly, or otherwise violating your legal rights, you may have the right to terminate the lease early without penalty. The legal concept here is called constructive eviction. The idea that your landlord's failure to maintain habitable conditions has effectively forced you out even though they haven't formally evicted you. To use this exit successfully, you must document the violations thoroughly, notify your landlord in writing, and give them a reasonable opportunity to fix the problems, and if they fail to do so, send formal written notice terminating the lease and citing the specific violations. This exit works best with clear documented evidence, photos, written communications, and official inspection reports from housing authorities carry particular weight. Legal exit 3. Federally and state-protected reasons for breaking a lease. Certain circumstances give tenants specific legal rights to break a lease with limited or no financial penalty, regardless of what the lease says. Military deployment, the Service Members Civil Relief Act, is a federal law that allows active duty military members to break a lease without penalty when they receive deployment orders or a permanent change of station. Written notice and a copy of the orders is all that's required. Domestic violence. Most states have laws allowing victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking to terminate a lease early without penalty by providing documentation such as a protective order or police report. Medical necessity. Some states allow tenants to break leases due to serious medical conditions that require them to move to a care facility or assisted living. Early lease termination for disability-related reasons may also be protected under fair housing laws. Senior housing transitions. Several states allow elderly tenants to break leases when moving into assisted living or continuing care facilities. Check your specific state laws for the exact requirements and documentation needed. Legal exit 4. Negotiate directly with your landlord. This option is underestimated by most tenants, but it works surprisingly often, particularly when you approach it correctly. Landlords don't actually want problem tenants or empty units. A tenant who wants to leave and is willing to cooperate is often preferable to a tenant who stays resentfully and stops paying rent. When negotiating a lease termination, consider offering to find a replacement tenant yourself. This removes the landlord's main objection, which is lost rental income. Offer to leave the property in excellent condition with a professional clean. This reduces their transition costs. Be flexible on timing. Giving your landlord 30 to 60 days rather than demanding an immediate exit makes cooperation much more likely. Any agreement you reach must be in writing and signed by both parties. A verbal agreement to terminate a lease is not legally enforceable in most states. Get everything in writing, keep a copy, and make sure the document clearly states that the lease is terminated and neither party owes anything further to the other. Here's something most tenants don't know that could significantly reduce what you owe if you do break your lease without a specific legal exit. In most US states, landlords have what's called a duty to mitigate damages. This means your landlord cannot simply let your unit sit empty for the rest of your lease term and charge you for every month of unpaid rent. They are legally required to make reasonable efforts to find a new tenant. If your landlord finds a new tenant 2 months after you leave, you generally only owe 2 months of lost rent, not the remaining 8 months on your lease. If your landlord makes no effort to re-rent the unit, a court may reduce or eliminate your liability for the remaining rent on the grounds that the landlord failed to mitigate their losses. This doesn't give you the right to simply walk away, but it does mean that even in the worst case scenario where you have no legal exit, your total liability may be significantly less than the full remaining lease amount. Here's your action plan if you need to break your lease right now. Step 1. Read your lease immediately and look for an early termination clause. This is your easiest exit if it exists. Step 2. Document any landlord violations thoroughly. Photos, written communications, inspection reports. If your landlord has failed to maintain habitable conditions, this could be your legal justification for leaving. Step 3, research your state's specific laws. Military, domestic violence, and medical protections vary by state. Rent control and habitability laws vary by state. Knowing your specific state's rules is essential. Step 4. Send all communications in writing by certified mail. Whether you're invoking a legal exit, negotiating a departure, or formally notifying your landlord of violations, written certified mail creates the legal paper trail you need. Step 5. Contact a tenant rights organization before making any final decisions. A free consultation with a tenant advocate could save you thousands of dollars and years of credit damage by making sure you're using the right exit for your specific situation. Breaking a lease feels impossible until you understand the legal exits that actually exist. An early termination clause, landlord violations, federally protected circumstances, successful negotiation, any one of these could allow you to leave your lease without the financial devastation most tenants fear. The key is knowing which exit applies to your situation and following the correct legal process to use it. If this video helped you subscribe to Plain Verdict, we break down a new legal concept every week in plain language. And if you're trying to break a lease right now, drop your situation in the comments. We read every single one.